Good afternoon. I've got 3 things here that I take hiking and they have been game changers for me. And then I will show you what I used to use if I have it. So one for day hikes is going to be this. It's a Catadine Be-Free filter. So it comes with this little 1 liter soft flask. It's a Hydro Pack. Now the reason that is important is because Hydro Pack actually has a lifetime guarantee on their stuff. So that's a pretty big deal because you can see how this is slightly yellowed. Looks like it's got a lot of use because it has. And the first one that I had of these, it actually got just a teeny tiny at the very end, thankfully, of a hike that I was on. I think it was a 5 or 6 day hike. I was up in the Wind River Mountains, and on the last day, it got a teeny tiny little pinpoint hole in it. So when I had my water in it and I was going to squeeze it down and through, it started squeezing out this side hole. Now it was still usable, and I could have patched it probably in the field with just a piece of gear tape, but I didn't because it was the last day and I was kind of heading out. So I got my last bit of water that I needed and then I hiked out that day. So this is my favorite one because it has such a fast flow rate. So pretty much anything else on the market is going to have a 1 liter flow rate, whereas this has a 2 liter per minute. So that is a big difference, actually. You wouldn't think it would be huge, but it's a big difference. So that's one of the reasons that I really like this one for day hikes, because it's just super easy. I don't typically have to filter a ton of water on smaller day hikes. A larger day hike, I may need to do it a couple of times, and this works just fine for that. You just have to pick fairly clear water because this shows you right here. These are your options for cleaning it. There's a shake, there's a swish option, but you cannot back flush this at all. So you do have to be a little pickier, I feel like, with your water because it will get clogged up if you don't. And so my first one got ruined that way, essentially. So you're not really taking this for the longevity necessarily, that it's gonna last you an entire lifetime or something. It's gonna be more that it's just really, really quick. So I love this. It's really great. And it's something I'll take pretty much on all of my day hikes. The next thing is this, and it's not the bag. The bag is just a pack tail bag. I've had it for a really long time. And I just store it in there. So it's actually this, which is a P-Style, that's the brand. And this is a funnel to pee from. So as a female in the woods, one of the things that can be frustrating, even just when you're driving there still, driving to your destination, can be just finding a place to pee. Finding a place to pee without having to totally expose yourself to everyone. So there were times a long time ago where I just was like, oh man, that guy can go off and can pee wherever, and I don't have that same option, so it was frustrating. And this solved all of that for me. It's also very hygienic, so you don't have any kind of residue, no nothing. You can just shake it off afterwards. It's really, really, really easy to use. I personally found almost no learning curve with it. It doesn't really like overflow or anything usually, unless you really have to go or something and it just is just pouring out of you, and then all you have to do is just control your flow a little bit in order to still be able to use this. But it has been a total game changer, and for a day hike or something, I don't have to take toilet paper, I don't have to take anything with me, which is a really big deal. As a girl spending a lot of time in the woods, it's just invaluable. So the third thing and the final thing for today is going to be this Garmin InReach Mini 2. Now I go out plenty alone, and so I think that's why this became a necessity for me, because there's times where I am just out alone on a longer hike, a longer trip, where I may do up to 20 miles or something like that in a day. And if you think about that, you are going to be out, let's say 10 miles away from possibly the nearest trailhead, depending on where you are. And so you're not gonna have service, you're not gonna have anything. But even just for my closer to town, closer to home trail runs or something, right? So I'm gonna be out there alone. I'm gonna be trail running for a number of hours, and I can't guarantee that I'll have service, even if it's a trail that usually has service or whatever like that. Like you can get into a canyonous area that doesn't have it, and your cell service drops. Well, if that's where you fall, if that's where you need assistance, then you need this. And yes, you do have to pay for a subscription, but it is what it is, right? So paying for this subscription, let's say it's $20 a month, one time that I do need it, is that $20 gonna be worth it? And the answer for me is just unequivocally yes. 100% of the time, it's gonna be worth it the one time that I do need it. And the rest of the time, whatever. It's a precaution, and I'm paying for it, and I'm fine with that. So I'll show you a couple of things that I used to use, which this one I'm not gonna show you a roll of toilet paper, because that's what it would be. It's just a roll of toilet paper. But I used to use this Garmin right here. And this is really big, as you can see, especially compared to the Mini. It's also really heavy. The reason that I actually ended up with this one, which this is the Alpha 200i, and the reason that I ended up with this one to begin with is because I have a dog that is choice behaved at times. And so I don't really 100% trust him to necessarily stay as close to me as I would like him to. So in order to keep track of him, this is actually what I have to take. But I don't take him on all of my trips, so that's why I don't use it all the time, but I will still use it on a trip with him. So it has same or similar functions. This one has the old micro USB charging port, which I like this one because it has the new just USB-C like everything kind of does, which is nice. And then this one is just obviously bigger, heavier. So it really became a whole deal for me to take. And I feel like I haven't weighed it. I really should do that because I feel like it weighs like a pound. It's very, very heavy. Whereas this one is just so much lighter. It's so much more manageable. Even when I'm backpacking, when weight just matters no matter what, this is just a great option. And then the other thing, which I don't actually have, so when I first started with a filter, I used a Sawyer, which this is the Sawyer that I have now, which is the Sawyer Squeeze, which is actually great. And I use it for a lot of, especially my longer backpacking trips, because it can be back flushed. But the first one that I used was actually a Sawyer Mini. So it's a smaller version of this same one. I feel like it's not a huge amount smaller, but it is smaller and it is a little bit lighter. But again, is it that much lighter? And the big thing that stood out to me with that was just the flow rate. The flow rate was terrible. It was just so difficult to actually filter your water. And so you have these plastic bags that the Sawyer comes with, and they're kind of difficult to get water into. It was difficult to filter water out of, and it just wasn't even worth it, it felt like. So this is really simple. It just has a flip lid and all of that. So that is another one of the things that I use now. Sawyer Mini is not something I would really recommend, just because the offset of the better flow rate versus the size and everything for this, unless you're going into true ultralighting, which, you know, I don't intend to do, then this would be a really good option. This would be a really good option, but I just prefer this for my day hikes because it's just so fast. It's so simple. I have a little built-in bottle automatically right here where I can have some water with me. So it's really, really handy. Those are my 3 things that I just take on my day hikes that are really important for me, and they keep me comfortable and or they keep me safe. So safety of your water, safety of yourself, and just makes it so much easier if you're a girl to pee in the woods. So if you guys have stuff that is really important to you to take that's different than this, other than the obvious things like first aid kit, actual water, food you're going to be taking with you, let me know. Give me a comment and tell me what it is that you take with you.